Welcome to the Berks Homes podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about what it means to be humble at Berks Homes.
It's Friday afternoon as usual, and we get a little loopy.
Welcome to the loop-de-loop.
Yeah. So before we get into humble, we did an event this week.
Yes, we did.
And I wanted to see what you thought.
About our speaking engagement.
Yes. I can't
silly.
help but laugh.
No, it was great. We were a little, we just kind of got up there and started talking as if we were in a podcast, but it was a little...
Like you have to engage the audience.
Yeah, so that was different to look
Took
people...
about 4 minutes.
Yeah, okay, we have arrived to the room now. All right, we're good.
To be clear, I mean, outside of business meetings, company meetings, like I haven't done any public speaking.
Right.
I mean, since college. I mean, in reality, I haven't spoke in front of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe at church a couple times. Like when my kids got baptized, it was... That was it.
I mean, I was on a couple panels, like Zoom things since COVID, because there's not a lot of in person, but standing in front of people, it was it's first for a long time.
Introvert's nightmare, but it was fun.
The best part was the end when people asked us questions. So many people asked questions.
Yeah,
it was great.
I think it just makes you comfortable because you're answering questions that are, about the topic you just talked about. So obviously you have additional thoughts that you're not able to articulate, and they prompt those thoughts.
Right. And it's not as rigid then. Right. It was kind of more of a natural conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird getting the stage, so to speak, as people are being attentive to you and listening, and like you're an expert or something.
Well,
we're experts in our experience, right? And that's all we're not experts in the topic. We were presenting as experts in our experience as it pertains to family business succession, right?
Yeah.
And that was interesting because if you pulled like 100 topics out of a hat and we're like, you could pick one that you feel like you know the most about and you're the best at.
Yeah.
That might not crack like top 50.
Not even close.
Off the top of our head.
Well, and it's not that, like, there's a lot of subjects that I feel like I've learned, like I've got a lot of experience in and knowledge and...
Sales and marketing.
Yeah, technical things. So all we could end up doing is saying, well, this is how it worked out for us, and this is why we think it's working.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was cool. We had fun. I think people enjoyed it and got a lot of connections afterwards. And since
it was
then.
Great.
So, yeah.
No, I'm not saying that I feel like,
like
doing that every
we're doing
week.
The circuit here.
No.
Like
I was exhausted the rest of the day.
It was early. It was a breakfast thing. And it was like, I was like, are we done?
The end of the workday at 9 a.m.
Yeah. So that was cool. So, all right, humble. This is
jumping from let's talk about ourselves to humility.
Yeah, sorry. Kick that off. So we're doing a series intermittently on our core values, and we've done one so far.
Yep.
Helpful.
Did helpful.
Right. So now we are on to humble, and I think it makes sense to first talk about why this was like one of the four. Like where did it come from?
Yeah.
Because these were not written down in stone for 50 years.
No.
Right? This was only in the last 10 that it's become something that we continuously talk about,
and
point
come back
towards,
to,
and hire for, and hold people accountable to while we're working here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So obviously we talked about why we've developed these specific words, and it wasn't something that we aspired to be necessarily. It was
defining what we are.
Yeah, the DNA of what it means to be an employee here.
What it means to naturally fit in here. and succeed.
Right. And so we've, again, we'll touch on like how we screen prospective employees.
Yep.
And the recruiters they go through that test almost as they're talking to them.
Yeah, we've got different questions that relate to each of our core values. Just get a gauge on where people land. I mean, it's really hard to define in a conversation sometimes if people have inherent values that are obvious. And it's hard to have a lot of examples and questions, but there are ways to kind of dig around at it, and it's part of what our process is now, which is nice. And we're very transparent about it up front, so people know, are these the people that I want to hang out with every day?
Right. And why we talk about it is to hold ourselves accountable too, to be clear. It's part of... What
does that mean to you?
Well, when, it's self-prophesying in a way, it's like we do not always... When I say we, everybody here, the collective, we go up and down, we ebb and flow sometimes with our actions.
Okay.
And maybe the humility is lacking in certain cases. Maybe we need to focus on that. And I'm talking about at an individual level.
Yeah.
And so we talk about it so much because it moves the needle for the organization.
Right.
When we're all focused on these kind of 4 areas. And
if it's your lens.
Yeah. So we talk about it because we want to remind ourselves that it is that important. And I can guarantee you that regular basis, I'm not doing as well on one of them, and I need to check myself a little bit.
So would you say, is this kind of like chicken or the egg situation? Like where does it start? Do people have this when they walk in the door, or can be developed, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, there's...
that's my answer. But.
Yeah, there's examples of people that I've met in interviews where I'm like, I don't need to see your resume.
Perfect fit.
Yeah.
Or not.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was more talking about the fit, the good fit, not the fit. But I've been there. Where it's just like you're having a discussion and all of a sudden something just is very apparent that they are completely lacking one, right?
Yeah.
So we're recapping a lot of stuff, but I like to refresh verbally for myself.
Yeah.
Because if I can't display this, then it's just not fair for me to hold somebody else to it.
Well, let me go over how we have it defined, and we can say where it came from. So like we've spoken about before, we have 3 different definitions kind of for core value: what it means, how to express it, and then the result. So humble, what it means: have gratitude, set aside ego. How to express it: be curious about others, listen and let them shine, accept accolades with grace. And the result is we prioritize team wins.
Yeah.
So where do you believe this? What's the origin story of humble?
Well, we talk about Dad a lot with these core values because it just has evolved because of who he is. We're describing his strongest characteristics here.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be that basic, but that's really what it is. I mean, he's been the guy for many of the 50 years leading the way.
Yeah.
And so companies take on the characteristics of their leaders.
Yes.
Especially if they do a good job. And in this area, he's done a wonderful job. It was very clear, kind of going back to our discussion on Tuesday at that event, it was very clear to us, in order to be part of this, especially as a child of his, a family member of his, this is it. Like, you're gonna operate this way.
Yes.
And so through our upbringing, that was apparent aside from the business. But then also when we entered the business, it was very obvious, like, you're going to be just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And if not, held to a higher standard.
I think that that's definitely true.
And so tying it back to humble, it's just who he is, you know? And that's why even for us, speaking at an event, it is very hard to grasp the idea that somebody would want to put us on a stage or up front and say, you have some sort of authority over a subject.
Right, exactly.
Like, you're qualified, because we want to be like, we're not qualified, we don't know anything.
We're very
humble.
Much behind the scenes.
Yeah, and the more authentic you are in that area of humility, the more people want to push you to
talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a conundrum.
Weird. It's weird.
But the thing that I really like about how we defined it, it's kind of goes against what you assume about humility.
Yeah.
And the first two words that we open with on this mean so much to me when defining it, and it's have gratitude. It's not about what you're not, and this is how I've defined how we have explained all the core values is offense, not defense. So you're always talking about what to do, not what not to do, or it's the action,
control.
It's the control you can control. So the idea of have gratitude is it's your framework for how you look at life. It is feeling in your soul that you're grateful for what's happening, and it's not about you. That's what the second piece is, set aside ego. Right. It's about the lens of this is take the good, and it's not about me.
I mean, how many times have we said it could be worse?
Oh, well, probably every day.
Because it could.
It could. It really could.
Right? So it's the inverse of it, but it always could be worse. So that means you're hanging on to something, a thread of optimism, positivity, and generally there's way more optimism than pessimism.
Yeah.
In any situation, especially in our business.
Yeah.
But we're always going to seek that out. That shred of hope, that optimism, and the gratitude of being like at your very core, like, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I have a family that loves me.
Right, whatever it is. And that it's not to invalidate suffering in any level. It's not to say you should be grateful because someone else does have it worse. It's just finding the thing that you can be grateful for.
Yeah, it's just an example.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, if you take that to work, so that I was talking about like personal things, right?
Well,
but if you take it to work, then you always have a path out of it. You have a solution. You have a way to solve an issue.
The offense and the action.
Yes. You're saying, I am in control. Like, this outside force is really pushing me down, and I have an option.
Yeah.
I have two ways to think about it. Make it really basic.
Yeah.
Two ways to think about it. I can obsess about how unfair this external force is, or get really beaten down by that idea, or I can look around it somehow and see that there's a path to solving the issue.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the result you want, because in our business, there's some problems that can be really big with a project, community, something.
Yeah. All
these external forces. So you might not get the solution that you want, but it still can be the best solution at the time. And that's...
Are you talking to me about exactly my attitude when I walked in the door today?
Okay, sure.
So
Yeah.
That's something that I was
trying to.
Literally just working through in this past hour.
Right.
And it's not what I wanted to be happening to my day today.
Right.
But what choice do I have? Something happened, and my choice now is to say, okay, what can I do with this now?
Right.
And I can do a lot with what's left. Forget what happened.
Yeah. Some cost.
Yes. Moving on. Okay. I have a lot to work with now, and I'm going to make it as good as I can.
Yeah.
And it's going to be amazing.
See, didn't I tell you that? Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know how this is humble, but
no, it's because you're having gratitude for what is, setting aside all of your ego and feelings.
Yeah.
And leaning into what the outcome is, regardless of your own needs and wants in the moment.
Everything's salvageable.
Yes.
The humility, that you can have around other situations at work is when you fail at something, again, having that mindset of, well, now I got that mistake out of the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, I have this thing on my wall, right? I think it says Elon Musk, but I think it was like copied and like, I don't think he said it, but it's this quote of assume you're wrong, right? Always assume you're wrong. The goal is to be less wrong.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of this idea of not just being humble, but also being curious.
Well, that's the next thing, is
right.
Be curious. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's that whole concept that if you always assume there's a better way, that means getting disconnected from your ideas.
Yes.
And that's the setting aside of the ego, right? So you just push away I came up with this thing, so...
And it's probably great.
It's probably great. But if you just assume that there might be a little bit of a better way, then you're always okay with the outcome if that's the way you end up going.
Exactly.
Or if somebody comes in and has a better idea, then you're like, yes, then you get pumped.
Yeah.
That goes to the next piece, which is team wins.
Yes.
It all works together, right? So you set aside your ego, somebody else has a better idea.
Yes.
Everybody agrees with that idea, and you can get hyped about it.
Right, exactly. And it's twofold. Being curious, listening, let others shine. But then in return, if you were the one with the best idea, it's accept those accolades with grace.
Yeah, right.
And again, that's because you've set aside your ego. That's an easy thing to do. So it's then full circle, the team wins. So it doesn't matter whose idea, who wins, who got the award, as long as it's the team win at the end of the day.
Right. I always go back to sports because it's just leadership and self-confidence that you can gain. All this stuff is wrapped up in sports scenarios and examples, right? But the best leaders on all of the best teams, when they get to the podium, when they win the championship, and the first thing they say is, I
want to thank
my teammates, and you can tell when they're genuine and when they're not, right? But the guys that are really loved in the locker rooms, like that's what happens. And they just, everybody feels so much better because those guys, or girls, they just lead by example. Yeah. And they're genuine about it. They're like, I wouldn't be where I am without these people.
Yeah.
And it's just so refreshing when you can see that concept in real life. We see it on TV with the sports, but at work, it's the same way.
Yeah.
All the people that you admire in life, they have some sort of humility. They really
absolutely.
Do.
Well, and it plays out there in so many examples that we could give in our business. If you just think about end result of a customer survey, what teamwork went into that whole entire process. Every handoff point is an opportunity to do this exact thing.
Right.
Especially if something goes wrong and maybe it was the person before you's fault. If the first thing to do is to blame the person, the team win is gone immediately. So there's endless opportunity to pick up the slack if needed for somebody ahead of or behind you in the process, the opportunity to lift up each other and also give the home buyer a great experience at the same time.
Yeah. Right. And there's also the inverse of that, like maybe some negative vibes that happen is the first person to lack humility and start pointing fingers, they start a chain event.
Yeah. Yes.
It is very difficult to be the third guy down the line when the first person blames the second person and the second person blames you. You have to be really big to stop that.
Yeah, that's
chain,
such a good point.
Yeah. And alternatively, it's like being in line at Starbucks and they start paying for each other?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to be that guy that's
that
like,
doesn't pay?
thanks, I'm good, right. And then you just drive off?
Right.
Like, you're not, because it ruins the vibe.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really difficult. And so when you're the first person to pay it forward, the second person, so easy.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
You're like, well, yeah. I mean, they said it was because of me. Well, then I can't say it was because of me. It's got to be because of this guy. So it's just, it really works like very harmoniously all together. And I don't remember, were we talking about this recently where there was some example of saying, was it the best example of humility is self-confidence?
Yeah, where was that?
Was that a TikTok? It might have been a TikTok.
I think it was.
It was so good.
Yes.
I wish I would have prepared for that. But the most humble people, Simon Sinek.
Yes.
So good, that guy.
Yeah. Did you send that to me?
I think I did.
Yeah. Nice.
So the best example of the most humble people are actually the ones that are the most self-confident.
Because you can take it. You have the confidence.
I don't need to be recognized. I got it.
Yeah. I don't need, and I can take the criticism and be the one to stop the chain of negativity or defend the person ahead of me. And because you have the confidence that it's not going to take you out.
Yeah.
It's just, you're looking at it at the lens of having gratitude for how to turn this around.
Right.
And you can, make it into a good thing.
And there's a lot of self-reflection that goes into that too. If you make a habit out of being grateful and also introspection, you know, having the constant habit of looking inward and self-reflecting on how you handle things and trying to learn from them.
Yeah, being grateful and looking for the optimistic viewpoint does not mean that you ignore anything or that you're not introspective and you're not learning.
I think they go together.
Yeah, I think that if it's genuine, it means that you have internalized how to improve.
Yeah, right. And then the outcome is humility or being humble.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to do them together to have that outcome.
Yeah.
That has to be your goal, is to always get better. I'm going to find the positive, but at the same time, I'm going to look at how to correct what I, made a mistake on and say, there is always a better way.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that I'm wrong. The goal is to be less wrong. So I have to figure out how to be less wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else that's interesting about this is if you think about it in relationally talking to people, let's say, we build homes. People are buying the largest purchase of their entire lifetime. They're going through an emotional time period usually. It's going through a life change, something like that. So there's a lot of emotion tied to change and finances when it comes to customers.
Yeah.
And the piece that is really important when communicating with them, especially in a high emotional moment, is again, setting aside trying to be right, try your own feelings of making sure that you are correct. All of those things have to be put aside, and it's listening and understanding that they just need to feel their feelings for a minute. There is no protecting or defending of anything. It's just allowing that to happen and having the confidence and humility to kind of take their emotions on.
Sure.
And help them work through it.
And, finding your zen and all of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that humble self-confidence of dealing with something, taking the bullets because you have to.
Yeah.
And like you said, letting them feel the feelings.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell anybody not to feel their feelings.
Right. Well, and, we say prioritize team wins. Team doesn't just mean our team. You can be teammates with every person going through their home building journey.
Well, it's win-wins.
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to always create win-wins in every interaction.
Right.
So you could consider let's look at these as opportunities to be adversarial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Builder, customer, right? Opportunities,
Yep.
potential. Builder, vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Builder, trade.
Yep.
Right? Builder, township, municipality, code official, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about basically everybody outside the building
Mm-hmm.
that we interact with on a daily basis. There's potential opportunities to
have conflict.
Mm-hmm. And if you do look at it like that giant team,
mm-hmm.
then
we're trying to get somebody in a home.
Right, that's the win.
And the team to make it happen is everyone that you
including
just said.
The customer.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to play their role.
Mm-hmm.
We have to play our role. And then we have to get everybody else down to the title agent at the closing table.
Yes.
And the bank, the lender,
mm-hmm.
Everybody, municipality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody plays a role in that whole thing. And what's that saying? You catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can create an atmosphere of teamwork with everybody, it's easier to get work done.
Yeah.
When you have some humility in the whole situation, because people really feel more engaged then.
Yeah.
They feel connected to people that have that calm and, humility and are willing to take criticism.
It doesn't mean you have to compromise quality or standards or excellence or anything like that.
It's the opposite.
You just have to compromise on your tolerance sometimes for listening.
Yeah.
People can complain at you.
Yeah.
You just, that's okay.
Well, sometimes technically people in our company are wrong too, right?
Sure.
Just like sometimes a customer can be technically wrong, right? Like back to your point, they need to be in their feelings a little bit for a while.
Yeah.
But that's not really their problem. It's something else. And that could have been honestly created by us.
Maybe we made it worse.
Yeah, they don't
accidentally.
They don't know how to articulate it, and we don't know how to understand it. But that's our job, is to make sure we understand and get to the issue,
the actual problem.
Yeah. And say, oh, you know what? Yeah, actually that thing 3 weeks ago was our fault, and that's really your issue. Apologize.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Dad real quick in all of this, because again, if you think 50 years and setting the tone for a company culture with 180 plus people now employed, there has to be buy-in to push this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And what's so cool, since we created these things years ago, you have almost everybody's got it on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just a thing. It's not just on the website.
Right.
And it's probably not even something that we push out to our external customers as much as it is internal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of it, but it's not like we have our sales reps sitting down with the customers and going over our.
It's not part of our contract.
Yeah. So, but my point is, it has to start in here to really show to the outside world. And why I feel like it was so important that this was one of the words was because at the end of the day, if you meet Dad somewhere outside of this building, you would never know the amount of influence he's had in so many people's lives.
Right.
And people just connect with that.
Yes.
So much.
Well, it's genuine.
Yeah.
You can really tell from having a conversation with someone if they mean it when they're talking to you and asking questions, and if it's a genuine, you can tell if somebody wants you to win too.
Right.
Even in a simple conversation.
Yeah.
I hope you're well.
Yeah.
You can feel that if it's meant. And that's part of that walking humility is human connection.
Yeah.
Because you're, again, not just walking around with blinders on, caring about your outcomes in life.
Right.
It's more connecting with other people and making sure that they're good too.
And I don't know how he's a master of that, because he's the most introverted, quiet to himself person, if you want to put him in that box. It's when he does interact with other people because of his mystery and he's not this loud, boisterous person. It's like you're included.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just go chat with everybody.
But
then he will sometimes, with people that he's never talked to in the building. He'll take a minute and
he means it.
And he means it. Yeah. I don't know what magic he did, and it's just genuine. So it's not forced. It's not a habit. It's just who he is. For some of us, the rest of us, nobody's like him because we're all unique. So we're all trying to embody some of those important values. It might be a habit that needs to be created a little more for some of us.
Well, I think that's why you kind of started out saying that we need to be reminded sometimes. Now, it sounds like we're in a cult or something, and it's not about that at all. No. It's more so saying, having this as a reminder for your mindset during the day makes you aligned when you're working together. Everybody has the same baseline. At the very least, we know we're going to help each other. We're going to try to win together. We're going to be looking out for each other and understand how we impact each other, and we're going to make some great things happen.
We're going to try hard.
Those are the four of them encapsulate together, and that's the perspective we're all coming from. So if we understand each other's intent by having that in front of our face every day, that fast forwards a lot of the things that other people might have to navigate a little bit more.
Right. And the one piece that's really important to our organization because of what we do is the vast network of other companies that are included in the daily business that we need to pull in together as well. Right. So again, with those opportunities for potential conflict, we have hundreds of subcontractors, hundreds of companies that we work with on a daily basis. Let's just say 25 different companies on each home times 550 homes. Right? 520 this year. So you have all these potential relations, and you have to agree on price. Every single one of those trades has to agree to a price to perform the work with us. We have to agree on the manner in which it gets completed,
application,
the scope of work, and we have to agree on the level of craftsmanship or quality that they're going to be held to. All those three: price, quality, service, right? And then we have to agree on their responsiveness to attending to these things. And so, again, you have hundreds and hundreds of daily opportunities to trip up against them. When you demand from the employee perspective, when we demand from each other that level of commitment to the success of our partners, our trade partners and vendors and customers, then you're going to get a lot more traction and go a lot faster when they know when we're going to sit down and agree on a price. It's not so much about getting the best for me and or making it worse for you.
Right.
It's about the best for both of us. And then there's that immediate compromise when we both look at each other and like, listen, I know the material went up. I get it. I'm not going to say no, right? I'm going to figure out a way to help you get a little more efficient to ease that pain.
Well, maybe we don't need you to have to do this anymore. Whatever it is.
It's not, for us, it's like, well, we obviously want to keep our costs as stable as possible so our customers don't have to pay more. We want to make it affordable for as many people as possible to buy homes.
So that they can build the next one, too.
Correct. It's a cycle, and everybody benefits from it. Everybody.
You mean the team?
The team.
That we referenced earlier. The collective team.
Right.
Yeah.
But my point is, it can't just be about the people in the building, and it can't just be about serving the customers. It has to be those other parties as well.
Absolutely, yes.
And so what do? They show up happier. They show up more engaged in the work. They know they're going to be taken care of. They know they're going to be paid on time. And they know that they're going to be appreciated too, right? So the next time the price increase comes up, they're not dreading the discussion because they know they have an open-minded party on the other side saying, we're going to solve this problem together and we're going to find a solution that works for both of us. None of us like it, right? The trade doesn't want to raise their prices because of an outside influence. And of course, we don't want to absorb that and have to pass that on to the customer.
Right.
So let's figure this out. And if you've already done that process, you were onboarded as a new trade, and it's a couple years later, and you know that was a good vibe, it's not going to be bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But if the idea was, all right, this is our process, here's a price list that you have to agree to, you're already starting out on the wrong foot.
Yeah, exactly. That's the end game for all of this, is to make sure that first interaction is one that you're showing your cards up front. You're saying, I am here for us both to win. I'm here to listen. I'm here to understand how to get you what you need. And I'm going to tell you what I need. It's full transparency. Full open communication, and that's how you actually make that connection, create the team environment so that everybody wins.
Yeah. The people always looking out for themselves don't last very long in business because at some point there's nobody else to work with. You know, if you want to win every deal by a landslide, nobody's going to be lining up anymore. But if you're just the calm, considerate party that always can be open-minded and just be honest, people will always come back and work with you.
Yeah.
You know, and not just on the outside, but on the inside too. You know, so yeah, I mean, we like this subject.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to keep going through each of these. You know, this is a nice little series.
Well, real quick. So do you have any personal examples? You know, could be in the business or just somebody you know who you really look up to in this area, who exhibits the humble trait.
You know, that's a great question. I think anyone who is presenting their idea or their product and that's open to criticism almost. So today is a great example. I didn't get to go, but there was a walkthrough of a framing walkthrough. That's something, we've talked about this before, that every time we have a new floor plan that we're testing out, there's a walkthrough of a lot of really qualified people kind of go kick the tires and see if it was a good design.
The first one we build,
yeah. Make sure that we get ahead of any of the next ones that we build if there are changes that need to be made. You know, it's the test subject.
Right.
And we've got the people who designed it, put it together, that are proud of it, who are completely open and willing to listen to all feedback.
They're putting it on. They schedule it. Yeah, the design and drafting team, they're the ones that host, essentially.
Yeah, we put it together on paper. Now we're going to walk through.
Rip it apart.
Yeah,
essentially.
Please, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Tell us what could make this better.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that, you know, Steve Smock building the apps, you know, great example, because he's just tell me what to do. Tell me how this could be better.
Yeah.
Joe Roslin, same thing with marketing.
Right.
Stacy, I mean, she's putting her work out there
constantly.
And it's always open for feedback because we want to make it the thing that will perform the best.
Fall out of love.
It's not about the ego, the designer, the person, the creator. It's about what the expected outcome is. Is it fulfilling the need or not?
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, that's really cool.
Did you have any?
There's too many to name. I feel like there's just a lot of people. When I think of humble, I think of the quick rush to heap praise on others. that is consistent here.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're actively seeking ways to put people in the spotlight for little things that just, like, it makes people feel good when they see somebody else doing something well. And they're like, that was so cool. You know, did you see their quality score? You know, John D'Angelo shared with me some great statistics this week about our construction surveys, this construction team surveys being just like stellar.
Yeah.
A lot of settlements in the month, right? And also their days under construction.
That's
and
awesome.
I was just so excited to share that with the regions.
Right.
Because they work so hard, and, you know, the production managers were just like, they were so happy, you know, because they work so hard to get really good at those metrics.
And they're doing it.
It's
awesome.
And it's just like, that is worth so much more than money.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we were here, and then we were here, and now we're here. And it was because of all those little micro movements and changes and adjustments and habit forming things that they did to get there.
And the guys being so consistent.
Right. And then
working
it's
hard.
Like the production manager, they're just so proud of their guys.
As they should be. Yeah.
And so that was really cool.
That's great.
Yeah. It's very consistent generally. People want to point the praise at somebody else when you're saying you did a good job. They're like, wow, it was really, look at all these people. Because there is a lot of people that go into making the world go round in our business. So
I think we beat up Humble pretty well today.
It's enough on Humble. Yeah.
I have the shout out today. So I would love to say thank you. An incredible job to Casey in drafting. We had a plan design meeting this week.
Yeah.
And there was a new tool that he created that was kind of revealed in that meeting. And I'm so excited about it.
Wait, he already did it?
He did it. Yeah. Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. With that spreadsheet that the land team can use.
Oh, did he redo it already?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they showed us,
Yes.
and then there was like a couple of like name changes, like columns that we needed to change the name on or something.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
But I mean, it's incredible.
Plan matrix or something.
Yeah. And all of the uses, all of the people that can use it, and all of the different ways it can be used. And it's simple, effective, and it really clarifies a lot of information for the regions. I'm really excited. So great job, Casey.
Well, Casey's very talented. He does all those 3D models of the floor plans, which are really cool. He also made a 3D printed Beyblade stadium for my son Theo.
He did?
Yeah. I never showed you that?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah. He's very talented. He's got a lot of different hidden talents, you know. His normal job is drafting, but then he does all these other cool things too. So, which is indicative of many people. And it's cool to see the passion that comes out that's a little adjacent to their job.
Well, that's why I brought it up. I think it's just
really cool.
Really cool that anyone here who sees a need or just has an idea is given the freedom to play around with it a little bit and say, listen, I can come up with something here to help. You're
not confined to your department or your normal expertise.
24/7.
Right.
It's going to be, take a minute to see if you can figure that out.
The challenge should be maybe we'll get like some creative people helping out in accounting.
There we go.
Yeah, right. My challenge is it's really similar to what we do a lot of, and these are like our personal kind of tests to ourselves, right? But because of some different shifts in responsibilities lately, I was telling you, like, my calendar is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So what I am going to be doing on Monday is a little audit of not just adjusting meetings, because I have to do that. I have to consolidate so I have some planning time.
Yeah.
But it's also, what do you do at that time? And when I say audit, I mean I'm gonna try and bucket some of my normal, regular, repeating activities and really look hard at saying, what's the ROI on all this stuff? and I want to focus on the big things, what moves the needle, right? And I want to absolutely have the most time for those things.
Dedicated for the things that impact the most.
And then I need to figure out with everything else if I actually have time for those activities. And if I don't, I need to figure out a plan to delegate.
Who can they belong to?
Yeah. And that's it's not always easy, right? Because we all have like some audacity, right? We think we can do a little bit of everything, and if we just work a little more, or we do a little bit of this, or we want to stay connected to that. And
it's only going to take me 10 minutes. 2
and
hours
then
later.
Maybe it just goes with what we just talked about. Maybe I need to have a little humility and realize that I can't do it all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Correct.
Say there's probably a better person for some of this, right? And then it also goes to asking for help, right?
Yeah.
So
that also takes a lot of humility.
It takes humility.
Yeah.
Because now you feel like you're asking for favors, and it's really not. It's the buy-in on both sides. Like, can I get you hyped about taking this over?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does this might actually be something you really want to do?
Right. The thing is, it could be opportunity for people.
Yeah. So
that helps me think about
I'm going to do that audit, and then I'm going to figure out if it's something that I can repeat periodically.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because if you're not careful, as you gain experience and more influence in whatever you're doing, you need to be really careful about adding, because we don't do a good job. I'm saying we don't do a good job of deleting. We do a good job of adding.
Yes.
And then at some point we all have capacity issues, and we also have strengths and weaknesses, and focus on the strengths, focus on the big ROIs, and then figure out a way to get rid of the rest.
That's the summary of the challenge. Yeah. Love it.
So now it's Friday afternoon. We had a good week. A lot of challenges, but a lot of optimism. And
that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I'm going to be trying to travel to State College in the next couple of weeks and Harrisburg, doing some skip level meetings.
Cool.
With some managers that report to people that report to me. So it'll be cool.
Maybe that's a sub-challenge.
Yeah, anybody listening, if you have a layer of management below you that people report to,
talk to them sometimes.
It's almost the end of June, so now's a good time, halfway through the year. Yeah. Probably should be doing that annually anyway. So I'm just going to kickstart it now and make it a habit. So, all right, we'll see you guys soon.
Have a good one.